Hey folks, ET here, coming at you with the week ahead with XOM, Nvidia, and AAL. Just kind of checking a few different sectors to see how they look, seeing if there's anything going on that's interesting. I believe Nvidia has earnings this week, so that could be a bit of a misnomer there. Could be some wild movement that could send or drop the market pretty heavily depending on how it goes. First up, we'll go ahead and just jump into XOM here as we're going. As you can see, we do have some customer positioning. Last week we did have some that was pretty bullish going in. We had a pretty nice dip and then it recovered nicely. We also have just a slight lean on customer positioning going into the 825 expiry. As you can see here, when we're looking at our customer put positioning, it is on the rise, and this is one of the things I absolutely love is that you can just go back and you can check to see how that's going with the other way. Now our customer call positioning is going upwards. Okay, so we've got both calls and puts going up, but it is trailing off just a little bit here if you can draw a line with your eyes. So interesting to see that we're kind of in a mixed area for XOM right now. There's a little bit of put buying and call buying. Not everybody is quite sure how they feel yet. Let's go ahead and grab our support resistance levels just to see where we're at. Obviously there's a big one up there at 118. I will say there's been a lot of sweeps towards 115 that are quite a bit further out, but I want you to just look here and look at our lines here to see where we kind of XOM has consolidated for long periods of time over and over before it starts to run. So if I'm going to be looking to long XOM, I'm going to wait for a dip, maybe not all the way down to 105, but I would not mind right around that area again for maybe 3-4 months out into those 115s, because a lot of those, we've seen a lot of golden sweeps in that direction. We can obviously see here that 118.34 is not probably the best place to continue to be long over the time, and you want to keep an eye on all these things. You can see a little bit further out into 915 we start to see some bearish lean, but this can change over time. We can see that shrink and go green, but you want to keep an eye on that. So right now XOM for me isn't quite a long yet. Okay, it's not quite a long quite yet. I want to see it consolidate some more here. Not all the way down here in our 100 range, which this is originally where a lot of us, if you're in the Discord, I had talked about adding it around 100, which is where I did, and I swung that for about a month as it continued to go up, but probably not. You know, got about a $10 run out of it, but and so it wasn't huge, but it was pretty nice. Over time, the Greeks will start to mess with your profits a little bit, but that's how that goes. So that's what I'm seeing on XOM right now. Not too interested at that point, only because, as I said, as we look left, we see it has some pretty long periods of consolidation. So I think we might be in one of those again right here. I think we might see some 105 to 110 action. So it might be a fun long at that level. Okay, it might be a fun long just to take some scalps, just go a week or two out. Maybe I might just to get 20-30% on some scalps if the market is participating. I will apologize up front. Hater has put every single thing that I need on one page, so I don't really need to make super long videos anymore on these, because everything we're looking at is kind of right around here. All right, so that's an interesting fact. This charts page is so good, I don't necessarily need to go to 10 different pages to see stuff. All right, now I've already got Nvidia pulled up here, and I've got its customer put positioning, which is increasing just slightly, which is interesting to see. Right, it is below it, or it is not quite near this 408 quite yet, but it has, as we can see, this is a pretty strong area that it's taken some time to go through all the way back, to June. It's got below a little bit, floated in this area, and you can see here this spot here was some struggle before a gap up. Obviously we know what probably did that, some earnings that caused it to go absolutely bananas there. So there is some downside fill to 408, and weirdly, crazily 305, which would be kind of crazy to see. That would be one heck of a drop, but we've seen Nvidia do weirder things. Don't anticipate these things coming coming all in one day or all in one week. These things, slowly form themselves after many weeks of sessions sometimes, unless there's an absolute news event that changes everything. So now that we're looking at its customer positioning here for 825, even with earnings, it is a little bearish, which is interesting to see. Let's go ahead and check its customer calls to see how they've been looking. They have been down quite a bit, but they're tailing off a bit. Now, a lot of people don't like to play earnings, so this is one of those ones that I would like to check right beforehand to see how it goes, see what it's looking at. And we just want to take a look. One of the things that I like to do is when I'm drawing these levels out, okay, when I'm drawing these levels and I'm looking, right, there's never going to be an exact level. You can draw one here. You can see here, this is a resistance that we can add up right there along there. But one of the things I like to look for is customer call and put positioning that sort of match the gamma, right? So if I see it shows right here 420, 435 is the largest gamma right now for this. So that's pretty interesting to see. There are some higher ones as well. But if I'm looking at this just subjectively, 435 is the largest gamma, and I want to see what these positionings are doing as I'm going along. If I'm starting to see this tail off and go into call positioning a little more green, and we're below that 435, I might want to take a few longs. If I see this going deeper red and somehow it's gapped up, I might want to go for a few shorts, right? And I'll measure that with the puts and the calls as well to see what it's looking like, to see what customers are up to. So there is Nvidia for us. An interesting one for me. I do not play earnings. It is highly against what I do. If I ever do, it is fairly close in the money, and it's a few weeks out, and those can be pretty expensive for smaller accounts. So if you have one of those, I'd suggest not doing that. It's just not one of those things that's a good way to use your money. You can get scalps all day long on SPY and get some good swings from our Discord channel with the free swings. So that is just one of those things that I just avoid, but I do love watching it. As you know, I do love seeing how earnings play out. All right, let's jump into AAL here. It's weird. Its customer call positioning is quite negative, okay, and let's just go ahead and check our customer puts, and they are coming up as well. So this looks, if we draw our levels out, this looks like it has a chance down to 1397 at a minimum. You can see that's held pretty well over time, and you can see this 1232 has also been pretty strong right around there, right? So this one, to me, it's got some gamma exposure right around 14. That's pretty big, which would indicate that 1397. Now you see how these things match up a little bit, but it is a little bullish on just the customer overall positioning right here for 825. So maybe it's one of those things. If I could see this, truly I would like to short this down to this 14. If it's not a ticker that I generally play too often. I don't like to play things less than $15. A lot of times I don't like to play things less than $40 or $50. I don't know why. I just like the liquidity of the bigger caps. That's just one of the things I like. So this is one that might actually be a good short down to 14 to see if it holds, or if it runs up to the 1628. Maybe a nice bump off. As you can see here, that 15 is really being a, remember our positive levels repel and our negative levels pull. So if it can't stay above 15, it could push downwards. But if it does stay above 15, it could repel it upwards to the 1628 before rejection back down to the spot. So this could easily be played both ways. If you set some price alerts, you and depending on the market action for the day, you can check its algo flows. You can see it's pretty strong right now. So they're really kind of looking for some upside on it. So this might really repel upwards, and then it could be, because of all of this put positioning and how the call positioning was laid out, it could be a nice short down after that. Those are the three that I have covered today. I'll send a tweet out, just a regular one-off about Tesla, because that one's been requested a bunch. We will see how all of that goes. Everybody have a good day. Stay safe out there, and go get that Oprah money.